Hello, everyone. My name is Ann, and welcome back to the North American Free Trade Agreement, where we talk about the goals and reservations, trade barriers, and investment policies between the countries of Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Today, we will especially talk about the tariff systems of the United States and the assessments of duties. When we are talking about the assessments of duties, there are three main points: self assessment and corporation, examinations of imported goods, and finally, liquidation. First, we will be talking about the self assessment and corporation. Ruby, can you please start us off?
Yes, in this section, the entry documents filed by the importer or its custom broker are designed to assist the customs service in determining if the goods are admissible into the country, if the status, what the status of the goods are, and whether the goods should be specially labeled.
Now let's move on to the examination of imported goods. Ms. Nguyen, please talk about it.
Before goods are released to the importer, if customs discover goods are not specified in an invoice or are improperly invoiced, they are confiscated if it appears that the misstatements were fraudulent.
John, can you please follow up on that?
All right. So after custom has classified and valued the imported goods, it formally assesses an import duty. So this determination is called liquidations.
Very good. And let's talk about the dutiable status of goods. Torin, can you please talk about that?
All goods imported into the U.S. and the custom territory are either doable or duty-free. Dutiable status formula: classification, valuation, and rate of duty.
And now let's discuss the classification of goods. Classification includes the following points: harmonized tariff schedule, structure, statutory interpretation, general rules of interpretation, and special rules of interpretation. Let's talk about it. Ms. Kwan, please talk about the harmonized tariff schedule.
The harmonized tariff schedules the classification of imports plays a central role in whether they are subject to customs duty, and if they are, the rates at which the duty are assessed.
And since 1989, the United States has classified goods according to a system that conforms to the procedures followed by the major trading nations of the world, known as the Harmonized Tariff Schedule. This scheme was designed to simplify the classification process.
Fantastic. Now, a little bit about the structure. Under the harmonized tariff schedule, goods are divided according to type and makeup. John, do you know about that?
All right. So the system is divided into 22 sections. Each section is covered a particular industry, beginning with an agricultural products and ending with industrial and high technology products. For instance, Section 1 covers live animals and animal products, while Section 11 relates to textiles and textiles article. Some of the section lists common commodities by functions or use. For instance, Section 12 encompasses footwear, headgears, etc.
Torin, can you please follow up?
The harmonized system classified items by utilizing a 10-digit numbers. Almost all the goods could easily fall into several different categories, in each of which have a greatly different rate of duty. For this reason, the importers require a certain as the applicable duties often requires binding ruling from the custom in advance importation.
Thank you all so much for your discussion about the theories. And now let's bring into a case where we can apply the theories. And I've chosen the case of C.J. Van Houten and ZOON versus the United States. So the facts are, Van Houten and ZOON imported over 80,000 pounds of sweetened molten chocolate from Canada into the United States in 2 tank trucks. The U.S. Customs Services classified the chocolate under item 156.30 as chocolate sweetened in any other form. Van Houten and ZOON contested that this designation arguing that the merchandise should be classified under the item 156.25 as chocolate sweetened in bars or blocks weighing 10 pounds or more each. The company argued that the bars or blocks language in item 156.25 was flexible enough to include chocolate in molten form. They further alleged that Congress intended provisions to cover commercial imports of chocolate, and the language employed merely reflected how chocolate was transported in 1929 when the provision was enacted. So the issue here is that does molten chocolate fall within the definitions of bars and blocks? So let's first talk about the U.S. Customs and how they impose the import tax on the company. Ms. Wan, can you please start us?
I think the company imports chocolates by tank trucks. When coming to the US, they will be packaged into parts. It is also chocolate candy.
That's correct.
But I don't really quite agree with that. The company that imports chocolate by tank truck means liquid chocolate, which falls into the category of chocolate, sweetened, and in any other form. Don't you think, John?
Yeah, I agree with Ruby. It is an item of 156.30 as chocolate, sweetened, and in any other form rather than one word.
Altering the state of an article temporarily facilitate transportation without changing the essential nature of the goods should not control classification. However, the process must not result in the conversion of the product into another commodity with a separate distinct tariff classification.
Thank you all for your discussions and thoughts. This is definitely a very interesting case. And in order to answer the question, does molten chocolate fall within the definition of bars and blocks? The answer is no. Initially, it must be determined whether the definitional aspects of bars and blocks encompasses liquid or molten material. The common meaning of the words implies unless Congress clearly designated that a commercial designation is to prevail. Since it is a well-settled axiom that classification is determined based on the condition of the article as imported, the chocolate at issue does not comport to the definitions of bars and blocks. The legislative history of the classification scheme does not demonstrate a clear congressional intent to classify chocolate based on whether it is used for commercial purposes. Accordingly to the common meaning of the words, it must prevail. Well, today we talked about the assessments of duties. Do you guys have any questions? Well, that was a great lesson, guys, and I would want to thank the International Business and Law Academy and especially Dr. Sung.